Good evening, friends. My name is Tommy Obenchain, and I'm delighted to welcome you back to tonight's episode of Deep Light, where we're coming together to connect and encourage. We've got a great show in store for you, and I'm really excited to welcome my co-host Mark to the show. Mark, good evening.
Hi, Tommy. Good to see you as always. It's a great night in Dallas, as you like to say. I know it looks like it's daytime here in my office, but I think those are just floodlights.
I have some in my pantry. That's nice.
Oh, every pantry needs floodlights, unless you're trying to hide something from your wife or your children that you can enjoy later on. Food is disappearing out of our pantry at an unprecedented pace, as most of my children are now back in the home. It's pretty remarkable. I don't know if that's your story as well. I mean, I know y'all, anyway, so.
My wife would tell you that that's what's happening, but there's only two of us who live in our home. So you can draw your own conclusions. But Mark, tell us who you're interviewing tonight.
So tonight I will be interviewing Chad Scruggs, Charles Altman Scruggs the fourth. I think it's the fourth. He's the fourth. It's so good to connect with an old friend. And right here in my office, Chad and I, along with others, spend a lot of time praying and dreaming and thinking about what it means to be followers of Christ, what it means to be ministers of the gospel. Now he serves as the senior pastor of Covenant Pres in Nashville, and God has gifted him in so many ways and is doing a wonderful work there. And we talk about what it means to, serve the Lord during this time as a husband and father and a pastor. So I think you'll be deeply encouraged by what you hear.
I'm really excited. That's going to be awesome. I went to Covenant Pres when I lived in Nashville in college. I love that church, and I love Chad. So I'm excited for tonight's interview. It's going to be really special.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. You'll enjoy it.
Well, let's go to the interview. This is good.
Well, everyone, I want to welcome you to Deep Light tonight. Our guest is recognized by most of you as the Reverend Chad Scruggs, who is serving, as you know, in Nashville, but has had a deep connection to our church over a number of years, and is just a very, very dear friend of mine. So welcome, Chad.
Great to be here. Great to see you.
It's been a while since we've seen each other face to face. In fact, I think it was last June during General Assembly here in Dallas that we had a bite together, which was fun.
Yeah, it has been a long time, too long, I think, for sure.
Way too long. So tell me a little bit about just Jada and the kids. How's everybody faring during this pandemic and, forced homeschooling and other things such as that? How are you guys doing?
I think overall we're doing pretty well. I think the weather here has helped that a ton. And so we've been able to be outside a lot. It's been warm and sunny. And, I think the first couple weeks were really challenging to figure out the new rhythm with kids at home. And it feels like every room right now in our house has been turned into some sort of workspace or office space. So everyone has books out and but overall, I think we're doing pretty well. The kids have loved this time. We've been quarantined in our new neighborhood with some of our neighbor friends who had the same contact we did early on with people. And so it hasn't been quite as isolating for us as it has for some people. So we've been very grateful for that long term.
So what has it been like for you as a pastor, leading this church now? Things happened very quickly. Worship services, became something we're doing online only. How's that affected you?
It happened really fast for us. So we kind of had a ground zero reality here. Some of our members were cases like 9 through 25 in Davidson County. And so we weren't as much responding to what everyone else was doing as much as we were just trying to figure out day by day how to help people that had gotten sick. And at that point, really, no one knew how the virus would track. Mm-hmm. And so it was not a lot of time to think. Thankfully, we've had two of our elders are infectious disease doctors. And so they were incredibly helpful in helping us make recommendations, helping us pivot, adapt to the circumstances. The first 2 weeks, very novel, very quick in terms of making decisions. And then I think the last couple of weeks have been more settling in. And those in some ways emotionally have been more challenging. So it's
In
been,
what ways has it been challenging emotionally?
I'll say, I feel like this, the highs and lows, the range has been broader for me personally. And so the lows have been lower and the highs have been in some ways higher. It's been a great season of some relaxation and a different rhythm to be a little bit slower. My first 18 months were really, really fast. But I think also the challenge of, okay, the novelty's worn off,
Yeah.
really miss people, miss some of the things that I was able to do in the past. And yeah, and frankly, just kind of learning more how to deal with my own sadness and loss in that has been hard.
Yeah, what have you looked to just for that, to really walk through your grief and the things that you're missing? Has there been anything that's been particularly helpful, a book, a resource, portion of scripture that you're in that's been encouraging?
Yeah, I think, in some ways I'm really grateful for, there was a little bit of stability in my life with the Lord before all this hit. And so I would read the Psalms regularly,
Mhm.
and they've just become more dear in a different way. Some of the laments and the hopefulness too. I tend to be a guy who looks at life as a glass half full. And so I keep just sort of reminding myself that this is building some spiritual muscles in me that might not have been built otherwise. A hopefulness and anticipation, maybe some endurance. So that's been really helpful for me.
You mentioned that the novelty, is kind of worn off. For me personally, I felt like so much was really focused on Holy Week and Easter. Once we realized we're going to be in this season at least through that, and then that, which our staff did a remarkable job in terms of recording and doing all the things we would normally do. But after that, it was like, how much longer? Do you feel the same way in terms of how that was?
We built up to Easter, and I'll just say this too. We and this is not an insult, but we're a pretty technologically regressive church. We're very much, I say this in a positive way, we're an in-person church.
Uh-huh.
And so we've really had to scramble over the last 3 weeks to figure out some delivery systems that we did not have in place before that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has been, we've done that. And I think honestly, Mark, what I get angsty about right now is knowing that the way that we're going to return is going to be gradual. And so all the hybrid ways that may look like as civic life, they slowly turn the faucet and civic life kind of returns.
Right.
So I have a lot of angst about what is that? How do we gradually return and regather? There's going to be steps to that. And it feels like, in a really good way, it does feel like, Lord, I really don't know what next week's going to look like.
Yeah.
So daily bread for today,
So leading a congregation with your elders, your deacons, your other pastoral staff, your other staff, how do you block out the chatter? How do you block out the voices that aren't firm? You just don't know what it means, from this is what it's going to look like, those prophetic voices, to those that are very dark or pessimistic. What are you doing to just really hear the Lord's voice?
I think I have some people around me. I would say I'm really grateful that we have a very healthy session. We've had some great conversations that have not all been unanimous, and that's been actually really healthy for us to kind of conflict and to wrestle back and forth and to hear different perspectives. We also we're grateful to have professionals in different areas of life, avenues of civic life, that have helped us sort of monitor that as well. And so they've been kind of like a landing board for me, or kind of a safety net for me in thinking through those things. And I think overall, this situation it's, for the most part, people have been extremely gracious and understanding, and that's been really easy, made it a lot easier. That I haven't heard a lot of like critical voices, things like that. People are together. We're facing this together, and it really feels like there's a solidarity to this that is really good and healthy.
And one we hope last. What are some of the use your phrase, spiritual muscles that you hope not only for you and Jada and your kids, but also for the whole congregation that you hope last? What are some things that you hope from this pandemic just are lasting fruits as a result of what we've been forced into?
Well, I would say one is, I think this has been a great pause in life. And so we've had all kinds of extracurricular things canceled. There's been a lot of fat cut out of our life.
Mhm.
And that's been really good in some ways. Like the way that we've kind of taken walks every night as a family. And this is just, I think I'm indicative of the routine of a lot of people, that family dinners, family being together, worship. I think those kind of things, not having sports to run to, every night. I think that'll cause us, at least as a family, and I think many in our congregation, to reevaluate how we're investing time once things return.
Yeah.
And so I think the disruption of those rhythms, I think, can be really, really healthy and helpful. I think the other one is this has really animated kind of like care in our congregation. There's been a ton of people that have been mobilized in organic ways to go and figure out who's isolated, how do we care for them, not just in our congregation, but which of our neighbors are isolated, what are creative ways that we can engage them, love them, even in our isolation. And so I hope that lasts. I hope the creative thinking, that sort of thing, does last as well. And then I think, overall, Mark, I think it's been a luxury for so long to know every week, basically, where we're going to go to church next week. We're going to go in that building at that address, and we're going to show up, and it's going to be planned for us, right? And so I think Christians throughout the ages have not had that luxury. Like you and I used to plan a year out, ministry a year out. We can't do that anymore, right? We're planning maybe weeks out, and so I think just that experience of having to trust God on a regular basis and being open to what he might be doing in the moment, even just a day ahead, I think there's something really special about that too.
I agree. I agree. And like you, I'm very grateful for our elders, our deacons, the body at large, just the way in which they're experiencing this and leaning into the Lord, listening to the Lord, trying to discern, what is it that you want for me? What is it you want for us as a family? How do you want these fruits to last? I think it's going to be interesting, the kinds of questions that we all need to ask when things do begin to return to some level of normalcy, whatever that is. And I hope that's there. I hope that our people really are eager to hear the Lord's voice in that, going deeper and deeper into real transformation. Because this is unlike any other time, that we've known.
And one of the things that we try to emphasize is don't think about this as just waiting for things to return to normal. Like this is a time to evaluate and to grow right now. Like the Lord this is a gift that he's given, and we can count on every season for that to be true. But I had one guy tell me, one of the gifts has been that I've been able to, I don't have to rush off to work in the morning. So I've been able to read my Bible every morning in a way that I've never had to before. And then he said, this just won't continue when things get back to normal. And of course, my question is, why not? Like, why not use this time to figure out a different routine when you just can't rely on what you've done before? Like, why not have this built in? They say it takes 30 days to build a habit. Well, God just gave you April, right? And he's probably going to give you a portion of May at least too. So these are great times to build spiritual habits that probably maybe you've neglected or that have gone dormant in your life because of all the busyness before. So,
okay. So speaking of habits, we have a little section of this deep light called hobbies, habits, and hankerings. So hobbies, habits, and hankerings. What's a hobby that you or your family's pursuing right now that you hadn't in the past? What's a habit that's been exposed that you wish would die, or a new one that started? And then what's a hankering? You're just like, I am craving this. We want to know. So hobbies, habits, and hankerings.
So right across from where I live is a municipal golf course. It's a great golf course for a municipal golf course. And right now it's free. So they've kept all the golf courses open and they're cutting everything, but there's no one to take money. And so you just walk up. And so my boys and I have just been playing golf when it's been available. The weather's been great. And so we've wanted to do that anyway for so long, and to just have access to free golf and to be able to walk together. There's no flags because they don't want like you touching things, but people have put sticks in the holes, makeshift. So give it back to the people, and the people will figure it out, right? And so that's one of the hobbies I think we've kind of enjoyed during this season. It's been a lot of fun with the boys. What's the second one? Habits?
Yeah, habits.
Oh my gosh. Habits have been exposed as bad habits. Well,
good ones.
Good ones. I can tell you about some bad. I think like just nutritional habits have not been great. Like just there's a chip bag open all the time, or I don't really know what time it is to eat anymore because I'm just eating all the time and grazing a lot. So there's that sort of thing. I think we're spending a lot of time at night together as a family, and we really haven't had that in about 6 years since my kids, before their life started taking off in different directions.
Yeah.
And so the family meal, sitting outside on the deck, has been a habit that I think we'll look back and really cherish this season for that. It feels like an extended vacation where we're just always together every night, as a family. And my kids are good ages for that. So hankerings. I really, I miss my gym. I really miss my gym, and I need a haircut so bad right now. And so, that, and honestly, just going out to eat. I mean, we've tried to do pick up stuff from local restaurants. When you get home, it's just not as good. It's not warm. And so I think we just miss being able to be out with people. We really miss our friends. We haven't been able to, seen very many of them. So,
one of the things that we've done, obviously a ton more family time. Kara got married in late January. Her and Drew actually honeymooned to Italy just before everything kind of exploded over there. I know, it was pretty frightening. And then we've got Maddie, who's, in her spring semester, her sophomore spring at OU, and then Caden was in his freshman semester at Arkansas. So they're all back, of course. And to have my son, who's 20, spending so much time with my youngest son, who's 10, has been really incredible to watch. And then Maddie will sit out in the front yard with her laptop open, listening to her professor from the University of Oklahoma, while Esther Kate, who's almost 12, sits on the blanket with her. And then people are just walking by, as you can imagine. And it's been that's a great gift. And it's done things in their relationships that nothing else could have created. And I'm very, very grateful for that. It's really sweet to see. All right, so one of the questions we like to ask people, and it comes from a John Piper quote, that books don't change people's lives, but paragraphs do. And whether you agree with that or not, I think books do change people's lives. I do think it's fascinating to think about different paragraphs that people have written that God's used in our life to really shape us, transform us. So what's your paragraph?
Yeah, so this was really hard. I mean, I almost, I spent too much time in my day thinking about this today. So I'm going to read a paragraph instead of probably the most transformative paragraph. I'm going to read one that has stuck with me from one of the most transformative books I've read, but it's really been important for me for this season. Okay. Yeah. This comes from Dietrich Bonhoeffer's Life Together. Mm-hmm. And he opens with this about Christian community. Well, it's, a couple pages in. He writes, "It is by the grace of God that a congregation is permitted to gather visibly in this world, to share God's word and sacrament. Not all Christians receive this blessing. The imprisoned, the sick, the scattered lonely, the proclaimers of the gospel in heathen lands stand alone. They know that visible fellowship is a blessing. Therefore, let him who until now has had the privilege of living a common Christian life with other Christians, let him praise God's grace from the bottom of his heart. Let him thank God on his knees and declare, it is grace, nothing but grace, that we are allowed to live in physical community with other Christian brethren.
Wow.
You know, it's been powerful because I think I've forgotten what a grace that is
Mm-hmm.
that we've taken for granted. That I could go hug someone, that I could just show up at church on a Sunday morning and friends were going to be there to shake our hands. And even as we regather, we may not get that immediately for a while.
Right. Right.
And to think that people, so the solidarity of thinking about people who never experienced that because of God's call in their life or where they find themselves has opened my eyes and made me just more, I think, empathetic to that gift and for what many Christians live through all the time, the lack of having that. And so that's been a paragraph that's been really important for me during this pandemic.
What is so unusual for us right now is for most, they're normal. You know, they've never had the experiences that we do take for granted, which have been an incredible blessing. So in regards to preaching on Sundays, are you filming from your home? Are you filming from the church, from the sanctuary, climbing up in that huge pulpit that you have? What's that like for you on Sunday mornings?
I'm filming from here. So we're not live streaming. We're doing home worship. So we gather in groups of about 50 through Zoom, 50 screens, so about 150 people. And then we'll get on and people will assign parts. The liturgy used to go to pastors, but different kids will read the parts. Mm-hmm. And then we have a video homily that I've recorded from here. Mm-hmm. And then we have music we've recorded too, or they can choose just to have a musician with them to sing. And so we've really kind of more embraced do home worship, try to gather with other families as much as possible and do it that way. So I film from here. I try to do that on Fridays. It's shorter than normal, which has been actually really challenging. It's about 20-minute homilies. But you know what? It has been great waking up on Sunday morning and just experiencing church life as someone that just engages in it. So we have different facilitators. I just join in. Yeah. And that's been really special. So
I know my wife has loved Sunday mornings. I'm sure Jada has too, in a unique way, right? We're there, and Christina.
We can say that, right?
We can say that. You know, on Easter Sunday, you know, when I'm sitting in our playroom, actually is where our largest TV is, and I'm sitting there with all of my children and my wife, and Christina just starts weeping because she can't remember the last time, you know, on an Easter Sunday we were actually sitting together, and it was really sweet. But it was also really strange, you know, to be watching myself on a screen as my children are listening to their father and their pastor, you know. So where have you taken the congregation in terms of your, you know, sermons, your meditations? I know you mentioned your love for the Psalms, and that's where we first went with the pandemic, is just we need to be in the Psalms, really focusing on the attributes of God, the emotions, which every human emotion is recorded there. That's been a really sweet thing. And now we've moved into the resurrection life, looking at the narratives during this Eastertide, which has been really sweet. How about you guys? What are y'all doing?
Yeah, so we were in the middle of the book of Galatians, and the first week we shifted to the upper room discourse in John's gospel. And so that's 5 chapters. John dedicates 5 chapters of his overall gospel. That's maybe 21 chapters or so, just to that one night. And that night is full of sadness. It's full of confusion. It's full of hope. All these things the disciples are feeling angsty, right, as Jesus is preparing them to leave. And so we focus there in moving towards Holy Week, and we stayed there for Holy Week. I think Holy Week I preached actually on the Luke, the road to Emmaus, and then now we've decided to go back to Galatians and go ahead and finish that book, because we were at a place where the Galatians 4 and 5, really the practical outworking of believing in our sonship and our justification starts to come alive, and it felt like the right thing to do for us now. And so so we're trying to kind of get back to the normal rhythm we've been in, and I've got to think about what next after that. So
yeah, and when will that be? You know, what will be the next, you know, interesting dynamic of how this thing is unfolding? We don't know. So I'm going to ask you to give me your favorites, and we're going to see how many of these we can do in, say, a minute. Okay. Are you ready? I know you're a passionate person, so just bring that passion to the forefront as quick as possible. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite burger in Dallas?
Golly, favorite burger in Dallas. That's so hard. Gosh. I'm going to get judged for this. This is what I feel already is.
Well, I'm asked question.
I will be judged for what I say here. God, you can't. Yeah. I love a good smash burger, but I'm going to go with, our neighborhood burger when we were there was Hop Dottie's. It was easy. It was close. We loved it. So.
All right. You're being judged by Nathaniel Blackburn, who's sitting across from me.
It's not even a Dallas, burger.
He started shaking his head. So you're already being judged. We're going to move on. Favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption.
Favorite book outside of the Bible?
Moby Dick.
Favorite song?
I don't know. Skip.
Skip that one. We've already gone like 2 minutes on this.
Oh, golly. I want that back. See, that's what
Okay, Chad, I've always felt like when we spent time together, which was such a blessing in my life, I always felt like you asked really good questions. In our times together, I would always just enjoy questions that you would bring to our conversation. So what are some of the questions you are thinking about right now? Questions that you're wanting to ask others that you think are important for us to be asking in this season?
The big one is a little bit generic, but what is God teaching you right now? Like, what are you learning in this season? Like, part of the presupposition is this is not wasted. We should be learning something about ourselves and about our community and about ministry. So I think that's a really important question. What are you learning? I think, one of the questions I've been thinking through is, we're a church that really relies on, I think, what we've done in the past to inform and shape what we're doing in the present. But now that all that's gotten disrupted, will that permit us to think more creatively about the future and about the present than just looking to the past, right? And so we've been thinking a lot about that too, and I've been thinking about that as well. How will this disruption serve to help us think more creatively about ministry in the present?
And I would add to that, not only more just creatively, but more compassionately. Just how are we really going to love people as Christ has called us to love? I think I love that question.
Yeah. Those are two that I've been thinking about.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to say to the people here at PCPC that are watching this new thing called Deep Light?
From the Scruggs family, we love you guys and we miss you a ton. In fact, we were hoping to be in Dallas this summer for RUF training, and don't know that that'll happen now. But we really do miss you guys and love y'all, and look forward to seeing you again soon. So we're doing well here. Very grateful we really look back on Dallas as one of especially the years at PCPC, is one of the fondest times in our life, the life of our family. And so we draw on that a lot.
Well, we love you all too. Miss you a ton. We talk about you often, very frequently, and that's with great affection. Very thankful for the way God has made you, that you are his beloved son, the way you frequently just reflect upon that union with Christ and the way in which you seek to bring him glory. It's just awesome when we hear such great things about what's happening there in Nashville. And I do look forward to another meal with you soon. It won't be Hop Dottie's, I guarantee you that. But
where did we eat last? I got my favorite burger place, R&D.
You and I ate at Hillstone.
No, but I'll take R&D.
That's a
I'm
good.
going to revise it to R&D.
That's a much better decision. I'm glad that we've edited that correction in. But you and I had dinner at Hillstone, and you brought with you Ed Jarrett's credit card. So that's not to be forgotten. But
I still had that credit card.
Definitely celebrated. Yeah. All right, brother. We love you tons. And tell Jada and the kids we all said hi. And you and I'll catch up a little bit more later.
That sounds great. See you, Mark.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Friends, welcome back to my office. I'm sitting in new chairs because what's more interesting than airplane chairs? Chad and Mark's interview for sure. Chad and Mark, thank you. That was awesome. You're both wonderful. And to all of you who are watching, thanks for joining us as always tonight. You're wonderful too. Before we close, I thought I'd change things up a bit, not just with the chairs, but actually I wanted to read you a quote tonight from one of my favorite books, and I know a favorite book of Chad's as well, The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. This is from chapter 11. And C.S. Lewis writes, "You and I must be clear. There is but one good. That is God. Everything else is good when it looks to him, and bad when it turns from him." So tonight on Deep Light, I'll leave you with that quote, and thank you again for watching with us. You yourself are fantastic, and if you know anyone else who'd like to watch Deep Light, please send them to our PCPC media channels. For updates on coronavirus, go to pcpc.org/coronavirus. And if you need anything at all during this pandemic, remember that the deacons are on standby to help. Once again, you are fantastic. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tommy Obenchain. This is Deep Light. Good evening.